It's not. Well, I have seen Spirit. It's great. It's Hans Zimmer.
It's great.
Yeah, it is. I actually just I rewatched it like 3 months ago.
No, you didn't. You didn't watch
Yes,
Spirit,
I did.
the
I swear to
animated
God.
movie from like 2004. About
Go to my
horse.
letterbox. It is in my diary. I rewatched it, and I've been listening to the soundtrack because Hans Zimmer did an incredible job with one of the tracks.
Is it basically Warhorse?
No.
Is it basically Secretariat?
It's kind of a music video, hand drawn animation of like a horse that's a wild horse. It gets captured, and he tries to break free. He doesn't like conforming to like the humans, but then he kind of like learns a respect between the humans, and they form like a bond. And it's a really powerful emotional story. It's only like 80 minutes too. It's honestly a great fucking movie. It's on Netflix.
Is it better than Chicken Run?
No.
Tom, I'll need a ride home.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the newest episode of our podcast, where we watch 3 movies a week that we've never seen before. We get together, we have a discussion, degrade each other if we don't agree with each other's opinions, and then just help expose some under-the-radar films.
Degrade each other?
So, yeah, I mean, we insult each other a little bit, like especially.
So John's at like a 5.
I feel insulted
exactly.
constantly.
Exactly,
Okay,
so it's
going down
really
to a
easy to
4.
do, so it's perfect.
See? That's how it is. Fuck.
3.
So we'll just
I'll be
dive
quiet.
right into the film that I picked this week. It is on Hulu. It is a 2019 film, so it came out, I believe, this summer. It's an independent one. It's very out there. It's called The Nightingale.
We don't want no trouble.
That's just the way, isn't it? You don't want trouble, but sometimes trouble wants you.
It's too dangerous. Up north, they kill us. You sure you want to follow him?
It's directed by Jennifer Kent, who has done The Babadook, which is a movie that we all really liked. I think we all saw that in college together, and I remember
too many times.
we showed that to Nate in like the Kaminsky, where it's like this big theater room, and we had like the background, and then I think we both snuck out of the room because we got like phone calls, and he got super paranoid and like wouldn't like watch the movie or something.
I had
Did
to
that
move
happen?
up to the I had to move up to the top of the seating because I didn't trust you guys because you both answered phone calls within a minute of each other.
You thought this was
So I
planned?
sat by the door. Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
it was.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I feel really bad now. But I can't believe... I totally forgot that even happened, to be completely honest.
Oh, I did.
But I love The Babadook. The Babadook was awesome. I've seen that a handful of times. So this is her sophomore film. So it's basically, the premise is it's set in 1825. It's about Claire, who is a young Irish convict woman, and she chases a British officer through the Tasmanian wilderness. And she's just basically searching for revenge on what happened to her family. And it is a brutal and very raw film. But I want to get... let's see. I want to get Nate's thoughts real quick.
Oh, you always put
On the
Nate
Nightingale.
first. I like your shirt, by the way, Nate. Nate's wearing an elf shirt. 2003, my favorite Christmas movie of all time. Continue.
That took quite the turn, but yeah, the Nightingale. Well, Spencer, you used the word brutal. I only found this movie to be brutal for like 5 minutes through the entire movie.
5
there was
minutes?
Yeah, there was a
What?
part of it that I thought was quite disturbing, and then after that, I just from the beginning, I was like, oh, my grade's gonna be really high, and then as the movie went, it kept taking like half a letter grade. It kept going down just because nothing was happening. I was just like waiting for some sort of payoff, and then it gets to this climax, and you're just like, oh, well, that was anticlimactic. Like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna sing.
She had nothing else she could have done in that moment. She was in the wrong place.
She's at the bottom of the totem pole at that point, man. I mean, there's literally nothing.
Can we spoil this, please? I'm just saying spoiler alert right now. All of it. I'm going full on spoiler right now because the worst thing happened to her. The worst possible things. And she doesn't even get good revenge. Like, I was just like, what? Like, all she does is sing at him? Oh, I was pissed. I was so let down. I
Until
was so
the
let
end.
down. Yeah, but
Things happen after that, but she doesn't really have any part in it.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Which is why it was a complete letdown. I was like, she goes through all this stuff to get revenge on someone who's done her wrong, and she didn't even do it. It's like, come on, dude. Like, I thought this girl was going to be like a total badass. She was going to be strong and intimidating, and she just wasn't for me. And I was like,
I just
to me, it felt real. Like, it felt realistic to what could have happened with these characters. And especially, I mean, even if the ending didn't pay off as much as you wanted, I thought the journey leading up to that was still, like, riveting. Just the tracker and them in the woods. It felt very immersive in the time period that it was set in. I thought the performances were incredible, especially this woman. She is just fearless in her performance, and she hasn't really been in anything before. I think she was in Game of Thrones for a couple
she
episodes.
played Lyanna Stark.
So she's going to be huge.
Flashback.
Her performance is literally one of the best of the year. I mean, she brought so much to it, I thought, and just blew me away, to be honest. And it was long. It definitely did drag at times, but I still was very engaged throughout. I love the relationship between between her and the tracker Billy. I thought that was a really good relationship, and I love seeing how their kind of characters developed throughout the film, and just the journey that they went on together was just brutal and raw. I mean, throughout the movie, I'm surprised you only thought that 5 minutes of it was brutal, because throughout the whole movie, there were moments that would happen between the officers and how they would treat the people they kind of interacted with and their own crew members. Just that itself, I thought, was just incredibly brutal.
I didn't think it was
John, you
brutal.
haven't
I
given
thought it
any of your
was
thoughts.
like just rude. Like they were mean to each other, but I didn't find anything brutal about it other than like that 5-minute sequence towards the beginning of the movie.
I mean,
I
since
was
we're,
just like,
That is the most brutal, for sure.
since we're,
but even
I mean,
that was tame.
I mean, the first 5 minutes she was just
Yeah.
singing, and there was just a bunch of guys eyeing her like they wanted to just literally have at her. But I guess, directly after that, there were some seriously brutal scenes. But if you're,
I mean, there's like 5 rapes in the movie. Like,
I
there's
wrote
brutal deaths, and
I wrote down, this is one of the things I wrote down, was uncomfortable scenes, bullet points. Okay. All the rape scenes. If we're going to spoil the whole movie, are we doing that? I'm going to ask Spencer.
I guess.
Well, to be honest,
how about
like you find out what
throwing a
happens
fucking-
to her in like 20 minutes, so it's hardly even a spoiler.
Yeah, but
The whole movie's her journey, which
But
leads
not-
to nothing.
Not all the brutal scenes happen with just her, though. I'm saying, like sure, the
No,
baby
exactly.
gets fucking murdered, but then what about the trackers, dude? Like, that guy just gets slain on the top of the mountain. The other scene...
They were the most interesting part. I thought Billy was fantastic, and she was just
and I'm not denying that either.
completely mean to him the whole time.
Yeah, it was a
And I
product of the time, though. It was how these people were, and it was just that's why I thought it was like a glimpse into that world, which I'm not familiar with. I'm not familiar with Australian history.
This is not Australia.
So
this is England.
Yeah, it is. This was set in Australia.
No, it's in England.
This is the Tasmanian.
What the fuck?
I mean, she's an Irish convict. She's an Irish woman, yeah, but it's set in Australia.
There
There
all
were so
English.
many different
Oh, I'm so
ethnicities
confused.
in this movie. There were tribes. There was British. There was Scottish. There was
Oh, that actually
Irish.
makes
there
sense.
was
That they're Tasmanian Aboriginals. All right, sorry, my mistake. I thought they were in England, but I'm a fucking idiot. So
But yeah, I was let down. And my grade just kept going lower and lower. And by the time I got to the end, I was like, it was like there were like the brutal parts I thought were really intense and I liked, and I wish it had kept that way, but then it just became some spiritual journey drama, and I was just like, where's like the messed up stuff? Like I was expecting it to be really dark, and it was just almost like a
was,
love
though.
story.
Incredibly dark.
it was
yeah.
extremely
It just
dark.
only because it felt raw. It wasn't a Hollywood type movie where it's like that. I felt very like these characters felt so real. It's like you were literally watching this done, like watching it through a window or something. That's how that's how it made me feel, especially with the directing and the production design and the performances. I will say that it is a little too long, and it maybe doesn't have the payoff that you were hoping it would, especially since you're waiting so long with this movie. You're spending all this time with these characters, but overall, I thought the cinematography was beautiful. It really made me feel like it was 1825. I thought Jennifer Kent is a fearless director by doing what she did and putting the things that she did on screen. Because to be honest, I haven't really seen a movie like this in terms of like this time of history, what these characters were doing. It was just very immersive to me, so I really enjoyed it. But
I guess I don't know, man, because I look at Claire's character and I see she is this badass character, but she also has this like very serious vulnerability to her. She's very vulnerable, and I think that Billy was this character that really counterbalanced kind of what she was missing. Like, he's this very free-spirited guy, and then he's not there when he doesn't need to be because everybody wants to kill the black people in this movie. It's fucking awful. But
yeah. Remember when they were just walking down that road and like they were transporting those other slaves, and then they literally just slaughtered all of them and like took their head as a prize.
Yeah,
like, it was just like I
terrible.
was so disturbed, but yeah.
But like then they're able to keep their cool and kind of move on because she has to act like she's cool with it, which is just so awful. It's literally terrible.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I think the brutal scenes were throughout this movie. They were kind of sporadic outside of the first 45 minutes, but there were a lot of them that really you sit back and you're like, holy shit, because this stuff happened, man. Yeah. This stuff. Like, this shit happened. It's awful. But I'm with you. I think that, what, do you know the actress's name? I can't remember her name.
Aisling Franciosi.
She was fantastic. She was really,
incredible.
I think she played this character so well. She had this vulnerability, and she was able to be this kind of badass character in the moments that she needed to be. But the overall character was not meant to be this, like, badass, like the girl from You're Next, where she's just so badass out of nowhere, or Ready or Not, where she's just badass out of nowhere. It's like
I'm glad they didn't take that turn. It made it feel more raw.
It would have taken it literally would have taken away from the character. I think, especially Jennifer Kent. She knows how to create these kind of just characters with several layers to them, and she had these layers, and I think that she was able to do it almost flawlessly. So, I guess that's where I disagree with Nate. I will agree that the sort of payoff at the end, I was a little bit disappointed, but it was true to the character, so I can't really knock the film for that, I guess.
I would echo that point as well.
Yeah.
Nate, closing thoughts?
I'll never watch it again. It was something that I needed more, and the pacing I didn't think was good at all, just because it was a lot of, we're going back and forth between these groups that are following each other. And there was one scene where I verbally was like, really? You're going to be that stupid? When she's following them. Yeah, I know exactly
what you're talking about.
And she trips, and the guy turns around and goes, you're following us.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, yeah.
I was like, you're trying to save your friend, and you're just following behind them, 10 feet behind them, in the middle of the woods. Like, where
she had no idea what she was doing.
But that was because he had scarred her mentally, because he had raped her. And then she just every time she sees him, she's just like, oh my god, and she just can't handle herself. So I feel like, again, that is true to the character. At the same time,
I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy any of it. I was like, she went through a lot of stuff, and if she had gone and finished what she had set out to do originally, I would have appreciated it so much more. But it's like she got there, she saw it, and then she just dropped the ball. It was just like,
when it came to that moment, she kind of buckled under the pressure.
I understand it's her trying to be a bigger person, but you were set off from the beginning that you were gonna go like dismember this person, and then you see them and go, I'm gonna sing at you because you raped me.
But the singing, I was like,
she did get a taste of it with the guy that literally did kill her baby. Like, she tracked him down and just brutally just stabbed him like 100 times in the chest. She got a taste of it, and honestly, to me, it felt like she didn't really feel satisfied by it.
No.
So it's just like, so she's still trying to do this journey with Billy, and then that's why Billy kind of takes over and gets the revenge for her. So.
Yeah, he kept me involved, because I probably could have turned it off and not thought about it, but he was actually really good and I thought he gave her a purpose for being there.
All right, grades. What do we got?
Oh, we've been going on forever with this one.
The more I'm talking about it, I'm probably gonna go like 2.5. Maybe a 3 if I ever watched it again, but I don't see that happening.
I can't do that. I gotta go 4 out of 5. I really liked it. It was a brutal movie, but you made me think it was gonna be a lot more brutal, but there was a lot more to the film aside from, the first 45 minutes and then a few scenes here and there. I thought it was, a full-on movie. I think Jennifer Kent is just amazing. I can't wait to see what she does next. So. That's my
Definitely.
thoughts.
And I definitely don't think I could watch this movie again. And just the first 10 minutes just did disturb me to my core. Like, just watching that happen, it made me, like, literally cover my mouth in shock by what happens. Maybe I'm just a little more sensitive to that kind of stuff. But
I mean, it's
was
rape.
just,
Rape's pretty
I
awful.
was really, well, that and the baby, it was just a little
That
too much
did
at the
get me.
opening that kind of just, like, it was like, oh my God, this
Like,
is the
they
story
went
that
there.
we're going to go on. This is interesting. So I don't think I could watch it again, but I'm really glad that I did watch it because in the end I thought it was haunting, it was powerful, and overall just pretty emotional. So I'm going to echo the 4 out of 5. I did really enjoy it, and I think Jennifer Kent is a director to watch for. She is
Absolutely.
a very good storyteller.
And I hope she gets the recognition she deserves at some point, because it's just that horror genre is kind of overlooked. So,
Well, I'll go to my movie then. It was a 2001 French film called Amelie. Directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet. And a bunch of his movies, I've never heard of any of the other movies he's done. He's a French director. Just a bunch of ones here and there, but it's movies about a girl named Amelie who's innocent. She's a naive girl in the city of Paris, and she finds her own way of bringing justice and doing good things for the people in her life after she does it for a stranger that she doesn't even know. And she's willing to do everything she can to make people's lives better, which I can appreciate. So, John, you just watched this.
yeah, this is very truly fresh in my mind because I just finished it a little bit more than an hour ago. It's a tough one for me. I'm very mixed on my opinions because I did like it, but there were a lot of things I really didn't like about it. I think
Which were what?
I liked Audrey Tautou as a character. I thought, or as an actress, I think she was kind of perfect for this role. She kind of had this like awkward, quirky, kind of weird personality to her. Like, I couldn't really imagine anyone else in this role. But what really annoyed me was the fact that her character just like, she's so goddamn shy. And like, it came to the point where it was like 15, 20 minutes left of the movie and she was still just like, kind of just so scared to talk to this guy at the end. And like, it finally does come to a culmination, but I was just like, oh, like, come the fuck on already. You gotta just, it really kind of bothered me. That she was just so goddamn shy throughout the movie. Like, there has to be some kind of character arc, and it just took like literally an hour and 50 minutes for her to finally get this character arc where she just like kind of loses the shyness a little bit to talk to this guy. And it just kind of bothered me. But aside from that, the one other thing that bothered me was the color tones for this film, and I understand it was nominated for cinematography, and it was a beautifully shot film. There were some amazing shots. The editing was, very true to the tone of the film, the pacing of the film, but, I felt like I was watching an episode of, the Muppets. Like, Kermit the Frog was fucking everywhere. It was just all Kermit the Frog to me.
That doesn't make any sense.
I have no idea what you're even talking about.
How do you... It was all
just gonna
Kermit the
roll
Frog.
with it.
It was like Shrek was on screen for like 90 minutes. It was so fucking green.
John,
It
I
was
don't think
so
you watched the
fucking
right
green.
movie.
No one needs that much green in a fucking movie. Am I
Spencer?
really the only one thinking this? The scene in the
Yeah,
fucking
I think
train
so.
station where like the saturation is up by like 150 fucking percent and it's fucking green as shit. It's absurd. Like, I can understand the stylization of the film, but at some point you gotta fucking take a back seat and be like, all right, this is a little bit much.
Well, you do understand that this movie, it was shot to make it look like it couldn't be in this world. It was like watching a dream.
It was a fantasy.
Yeah.
All right, well, shit.
It's-
Who wants that much green in their fantasy?
And this is something
guess
I've
I
never
do.
seen before. Like,
I felt like it was an
blown
episode
away
of
by
fucking
it.
Slime Time on Nickelodeon, dude. I was like,
Okay,
calm the
now,
fuck down.
now you're not taking it seriously.
There's
Like,
there's
that's-
no way.
Yeah.
Are you
To
kidding
me-
me?
To me, this movie felt like a warm blanket. It was just like the sweetest movie. You say you don't like her shy aspect, but I
didn't
found
say I
that
didn't
made her
like it.
character just Yeah, you said it bothered you that she was so shy
to the point where it took over the whole film, where
Because
she
she
never
spent
kind
all
of
her
shed
time-
that.
To me, I thought that quality was just incredible because it just made her so adorable. It made her so much. She was so likable.
Yeah, she was cute
as this character. Well, yeah, she was just this sweet, like innocent girl that just wants to make her community better. She just wants to make other people happy, and watching that unfold, it was just such a cheerful, sweet little movie to me.
And that's fine, but like when it came to her actual story, aside from helping out other people, I thought that she was just so submissive to the fact that she needed to, kind of meld this relationship with this guy, and she was just like, she just couldn't make it happen until
was
the
a
last 10
curiosity.
minutes.
She spent all her
Yeah, but-
time helping others. She didn't take the time to look at herself. This was like a really good.
But that's what I wanted.
Finding
That's what I'm
yourself
saying.
movie.
That's what I wanted. I wanted it because it's called Amelie. I wanted to kind of see more about her, but in the end, she's just kind of.
It was all about her.
Yeah, she was in like
the
every
whole
shot.
movie was about her.
But
It's about her and how she impacted her community.
And how she eventually was like, you know what? I need to do things for myself for once, which is kind of
fine in the last 10 minutes.
A revelation
yeah, sure.
we can all agree with.
I actually love that most of this movie was narration. Like, I don't think there was any dialogue for the first 11 or 12 minutes. It was just, but the thing is, it was so different. It was unlike any other movie I've seen because with the narration, they can kind of pull off some things that you're not used to. As in, like, you see a character and then instantly you get their whole life story in like a quick little like 2-minute montage, and it's like, oh my god. They fleshed out these like side characters so well to the point where like you can kind of just see the overall picture.
I think it's
with everyone that she's interacting with. It was just unique, and I thought it was really cool.
I think it's a fucking
maybe it was a little
dude.
overused, but
I think it's a cop
I mean,
out.
it was different. It was okay, but I thought it was different and cool.
I don't think it was a cop out, but I thought it was a little distracting because I like to hear from the characters themselves what they're doing, and when I'm being told, I'm just like, come on, let these characters like show their true colors. And it took a while, and that's at the beginning of this movie. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I thought I was gonna hate it because of the narration.
If I wanted someone
eventually,
go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Oh no, go ahead.
I'm just saying, if I wanted someone to narrate characters, I'd read a book. I'd rather have characters speak for themselves, and I learn things from their actions rather than the narrator just like speaking at 100 miles a minute, trying to tell me what these characters do, what these characters are. And I can understand the quirky comedy aspects of it, but it came to a point where I was just like, okay, like, you gotta calm the fuck down and let me kind of figure out these characters for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah, sure.
But it did calm down for a while, and it finally was kind of just like Amelie leading the film, and then it came back, and I was just like, oh my god, again with this narration thing. And I didn't hate it, but it was just a different style that I'm not used to, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was completely different, but I was able to roll with it just fine. I enjoyed it. I'm glad that a lot of movies don't do this, and
yeah, that would be
to me
annoying.
that's why this one felt very different, because I wasn't used to so much narration. But I thought it was cool because it just gave all these side and sub characters some more development that you wouldn't usually get with just Amelie's story.
I'll give you that.
And also just the way it was edited, and like they had all these like filler shots that went along with the montages, and it was just, it added to the emotion. It added to like the feel good moments, like especially like when the first thing when she finds the guy's box in the floorboard or in the wall or something,
right.
And she tracks down that guy, and then he sees it, and then like all the memories come back to him. It was just a feel-good type movie, and I just enjoyed watching it.
And I've seen that scene like
too,
20 times because we watched it in school. So that was the one scene where I was like, whoa, I've seen this so many times.
Wow.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure about this movie for a lot of it. Like, I will admit, about halfway through, I thought, I don't think I'm going to like this. Until I realized what she was doing and how she had spent so much time doing things for other people. She's the most careless person. She cares for people more than she cares about herself, which clearly, I can kind of relate to in a way. And then once I saw that, and she was like, well, I've done all these things for these people, and I still can't talk to this guy I have a crush on. I'm just like, It shows that, to me, that's realistic in like in like a dreamlike way. It's just kind of, you can relate to someone who's got insecurities but is willing to have strength through helping others, even though she was still lacking some of those social social aspects that life comes with.
I think she
and
kind
meeting
of
people and stuff.
she kind of lived through kind of the emotional aspects of other people. Like, you think of it as like we're watching movies and we kind of can see ourselves in some of these characters. She's seeing herself in these other characters because they don't have this sort of shy aspect to their personality, but she can kind of live through them. And it took until the end of the movie for her to finally kind of develop this relationship for herself where she's like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna actually pursue this other human being to have a connection with.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, and I also loved how it was like the painter that kind of helped initiate.
And I
that
love the
too,
whole
'cause
story of him too. Yeah, it was cool.
Well, I just loved all the side
the
stories
painter.
with all these. Like, I love the side story with the gnome traveling the world to get her father to go and
I had
travel
a
the world
comment
more.
about that. Keep going though.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. And then the fact that the gnome just appeared, and the gate opens, it closes, and then he looks, and the gnome's back. It was hilarious. It was really
Yeah.
funny. And the hooking up the girl who sells the cigarettes with the French guy and the
Creepy guy with the
cafe.
recorder.
Yeah, but like all she did was just go to these people and just give them like the push that they need. And in life, that's what a lot of us do need. And she was willing to do
Absolutely.
that, and she put all of that as her focus, and then kind of realizes that she needs to focus on herself, and that was towards the end. And unlike the Nightingale, maybe the payoff I thought was wonderful. It was just such a warm blanket, like I've said. So
She got what she deserved.
A little blanket.
When you do good things happen to you, and it's just. And we learned so many little quirks, even about the sub characters, like how I remember Amelie. She doesn't like it when drivers in movies don't look on the road, and she like sees a fly on the screen.
Yeah, I hate
and how
that.
it
I
bugs
hate
her.
that.
And we all have those quirks.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
I'll watch a movie, and if there's a smudge on my screen, I'll pause the movie and I'll scrape it. That way it doesn't distract me. We all have those little quirks. And I liked, that was the one part of the narration I liked. They pointed out all of their individual things that made them different.
It was
And I
very
was like,
right, yeah.
Awesome.
Like the mom doesn't like the shriveled fingers in the bathtub,
Sure.
or something like that, or like how the uncle likes to eat like a certain part of the rotisserie chicken. Like, it's just things that you would never get if there was no narration, which is why
That's
I thought
fair.
it was cool.
It
at
was
least
random
to me.
stuff too. Like the mom doesn't
Yeah.
like seeing parents belittled in front of their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can understand a
It's so
lot
silly.
about these characters just based off of the things that they chose to kind of tell about them, I guess.
Yeah.
Like this guy loves to eat the it's the part of the I can never remember what the name of this part of the chicken is, but it is like the best part of the chicken.
Oh, it's the
I
oyster
forgot
or
too.
something. Yeah.
the oyster,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's the oyster
Yeah.
of the chicken,
Yep.
which you wouldn't get unless you literally bought a full on chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But it was just, it changed for me. I had an It Follows moment where I thought I was
Whoa.
going to hate it until I got a revelation.
yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I can appreciate everything leading up to that more. And how
Yeah,
sure.
little things connected. Like, who's the mysterious guy in the photos who doesn't smile?
I love that because
I'm figuring out who it is, and then when you do, you go, "Oh, well, that's rational. That
Yeah.
makes sense."
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
and she uses
love that
that
guy's-
to come together with them, and it was
I love that
It was
guy's
just a
reaction
delight.
when he finds out that, like, you know, what the background behind this guy actually is. I was just like, oh my god, that's perfect, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, it was. I'm glad. I'm glad we watched this one because I'd seen it around forever.
Same. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It's just about time.
I'm really glad I finally fucking seen it.
John,
Yes,
what would
it
you
is-
give it? I'm curious about you with how you thought the color palettes and stuff. I want to see.
I'm
what
not
your
gonna let the
was.
color palette affect my grade because that's a very minor part of the film for me personally. But I think the overall story, especially after talking to you guys about it, I think I can appreciate it more. Especially because it's, you know, I'm fresh off just watching it, but
Ooh, the sigh, the big sigh,
I'm gonna
the
go.
signature sigh.
It's tough for me. This is a tough one. I don't want to make it seem like I didn't like it because I really did. I enjoyed it a lot. I think I'm gonna go 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little
Still
more than
fresh.
fresh. Like it was definitely worth watching. I would absolutely recommend the movie. I think that Audrey Tautou was just perfect for this role. Like if I were to picture this actress in something, this is what I want to see her in. So
Yeah, no one else could
Yeah.
do what she did.
no,
in this
I
movie.
couldn't picture anyone else. Absolutely not. She was great. So 3.5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was perfect for the role. I thought the cinematography, the directing, and the editing were just incredibly unique. And to me, I thought it was flawless. I was just kind of in awe on how it was made. There was a lot of just the shots that were just incredible. A lot of jib shots too. A lot of moving shots. Like it goes at a really fast pace, and especially for foreign films. I mean, the dialogue is really quick. I mean, the subtitles are on there for a very short amount of time.
You have to read it
moves on
quick.
to the next thing.
Yeah, you do.
It moves very fast.
It's good practice.
It was like an Edgar
enjoyed
Wright
especially
movie at times, dude.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. It's kind of like a French Edgar Wright movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm glad that we definitely watched this movie, and I could see myself rewatching this a ton because, like I've said, it's just a very feel-good type movie. And rewatching it again, it would just show there's some things that I missed the first time watching it. So I would look forward to watching it again. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Wow.
I really enjoyed this
Okay,
one.
yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'm caught in between a 4 and a 4.5 just because of how I perceived the first half until the revelations in the second half. Okay, so I'm gonna parrot Spencer's 4.5, but I'm gonna rewatch it. So it's definitely gonna be coming up again in the next week or two. I have to rewatch it because
You don't want to meet us in the middle with a 4?
I think that's a
You
fair,
think that might be too low?
I mean, just average it out with a 4.
I'll leave it at a 4, but like an unsure 4 because it took so much time for me to understand it and appreciate what was going on. So yeah, I'll leave it at a 4.
Okay.
So John's the loser this
personally
round.
for me, I was hooked right from the beginning, so that's why I'd
Yeah.
go a little higher. So, but yeah, I mean, like we said, I mean, I would definitely rewatch this one again. It was just an enjoyable film.
But that's Amelie, 2001. It's Hulu, right? Or
It's on
HBO.
HBO.
HBO. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, check it out if you guys haven't seen it.
All right.
All right.
And we're running a little bit
Jonathan.
long here, but you know what? That's okay. You know, we
Hey,
got
we've
a
had
lot
some
to say.
good discussions.
Yeah, hopefully you
for
guys
these
agree.
two movies.
And we didn't degrade each other too much.
No, but we
I
can
mean,
start
no,
doing
not
that
yet.
now.
some wild opinions, but yeah,
just
we're
wait till
moving
this
on
one.
just fine.
Wild
Just wait
opinions
till
on
Yeah,
this movie.
literally.
Hold on.
Let's wait to this one. Why don't we kick this off?
I don't know
Joe? Go
anybody's
ahead.
thoughts on this movie, but the third movie and final movie of this week is a 2019 film, apparently John Roca's best independent film of the last 10 years, which is quite a statement. But it is The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
I always come back to the old house. What if it's empty? What if we just peeked inside? We could throw parties.
Directed by Joe Talbot, who I looked up his previous works. He really doesn't have anything other than a few short films. So this is pretty much his inaugural
Well, there's a reason behind that.
feature-length film. Okay. It stars Jimmy Fails and Jonathan Majors, and both of them have pretty much been in nothing outside of a few small roles in Captive State and Hostiles.
Wait, those were the actors' real names?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought that was
the
their
reason why I
characters'
said
names.
that the reason why I said that there's a story behind that, because he hasn't done a lot of films, is because this is somewhat an autobiographical. It's kind of an autobiography of Jimmy Fails, like the actual character.
Oh, wow.
He went
I
through
didn't
all of
know
this
that.
stuff growing up. Him and Joe Talbot are like best friend, childhood friends, and they kind of made short films together on the side. And they decided to tell this story in a feature-length film. And
Wow.
Danny Glover, who's kind of a cameo in the movie, he was kind of the one that found the story and kind of got the ball rolling with the funding. And
Oh,
that's
wow.
how A24 got involved and got the distribution. Because I think it premiered at Sundance or one of the festivals.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, they decided to tell this story together because this was their childhood. This is a very personal story to them.
Great.
And that's what I thought was incredible about the movie, was that it just felt very real. It felt like these characters actually lived this story because they
This
did.
didn't seem
was all
it didn't
true.
seem made up. This was a very specific kind of just like thought out story that like it was clear that something like this had happened. You know what I mean? But basically,
We're in the hands of
let me give a quick
A24
synopsis
too.
because we haven't even explained what the movie is. Basically,
Good.
Jimmy Fails dreams of reclaiming his grandfather built a home in San Francisco, kind of a Victorian, beautiful, very unique style home, and he's joined by his friend. This is Mont.
Mont?
Yeah, Mont, and he's basically searches for kind of just to belong in San Francisco, and in the end, it kind of leaves him behind a little bit, but that's pretty much the story. He just wants to get this house back, and that's pretty much his only drive throughout the film.
There's a little more to it than
No,
that.
I mean, but there is, but that's kind of the central point of the movie.
Not really selling it.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a great story, you know. It's just...
Yeah.
It's really just about their relationship. It's about their friendship. And it's about him trying to kind of reclaim this house that his grandfather built because
Supposedly.
it's personal to him. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit of a spoiler, but yeah, he's in love with this house, honestly. Like it reminds him of his childhood, and it's him and his friend kind of just navigating San Francisco, which really felt like a character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was some kind of movie, and it had like less to do with the house, more with accepting the truth kind of thing, and what people are willing to do to keep the truth alive. And it's crazy. He would go to this house and paint it when the tenants weren't there.
When they were there, too.
Yeah, and they would show up and throw rotten food at him. I was blown away. I wasn't sure what to think of this movie. And in the hands of A24, it was just the perfect fit, and it just worked. Mm-hmm. And these performances felt so legitimate because they were legitimate. And there was so much heart there, and there wasn't like a lot of hate in this movie either. Like, it was subtle, but there was a lot of love for your city and staying true to who you are.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, where did this movie come from? Like, why isn't this getting all the hype?
Definitely.
Because this is a movie that deserves it.
And it probably will get some hype, dude. At the end of the year,
I don't really. It's not really being talked about, especially for award consideration. I mean, I've only heard of this movie because of John Rocco, who's on Collider, who's talked about this movie in detail, and it also has like a 93% in Rotten Tomatoes. It's considered one of the best independent films of the year.
It'll probably be
as
overlooked,
says, the
unfortunately.
decade. Yeah, it definitely will be overlooked because this came out in the summer and no one's really talked about it. But because I follow a lot of movie news, I've heard of this movie, and it's how it got on the recommendation list, I believe. I sent it to John as a big master list of movies that came out this year. It was just a very like hypnotic film as well, just like in the terms of the score, which I thought it's probably one of the best scores of the year. I can see myself listening to this a lot.
For sure, yeah.
I thought it was incredible, especially the scenes when they're skateboarding down San Francisco, and you see just the landscape, you see like them on the water, like just they're like I said, the city felt like a character in this movie, and I mean it's in the title, so it's pretty obvious.
I thought personally for me there was a lack of soundtrack and score because I wanted a lot more. I wanted a lot more emotion from the music in this movie.
It's because it was subtle.
Maybe it was,
but it was but I noticed it because I was taken aback at times and being like, wow, this is beautiful. Like it felt like a dream almost, but like it was very just immersive, and you just felt you felt some of the characters' emotions too. It just by terms of the performances, the subtle performances, and the score, and just the editing, which I thought was really well done.
I think that. Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Nate. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I have a lot. This was your movie. I want to hear your thoughts on this because.
Yeah, I mean,
it came out of nowhere, man. Like it did.
No, it really did, and I think that this movie had a very simplistic story. Once it really comes down to it, it's kind of this guy who he loves his city, he loves this house, and he really wants to stay true to his family and make sure he keeps this house within his family. Although the house costs, $5 million market value, and there's no way he could technically afford this house. He wants it to be his. He wants to be part of it. And I really did like these characters. I thought they were great. I really thought these two guys, I mean, technically they're playing themselves, right? So this is, something that they can play from the heart, and I definitely felt that.
To me, this felt like a movie that would pop up on Criterion at some point.
Yeah, and if it does, I will get it.
Yeah, it was just like, it was very quirky in terms of like how the story was kind of told. I mean, just from the opening, when how it's framed with like the guy who's preaching on top of the little like apple box, and he's like completely center framed, like the water, the San Francisco like backdrop is behind him, and he's just like screaming and he's yelling at all these people going by about the poison in the water or something, or contamination, and just like, and then it would cut back to them. Oh shit, sorry. And then it would cut back to them sitting on the rocks waiting for the bus to come. But just the way it was framed, it was just very like quirky and strange.
The cinematography,
and it just made me
was
feel like something
amazing.
that I would see on Criterion randomly, like late at night.
Yeah,
I could see that absolutely.
It had like probably one of my favorite performances of the year and two of my favorite scenes of the year. I think that the guy who played Montgomery, like Jonathan Majors. Mm-hmm. I thought he was amazing. I don't know if it's just me, but there's a scene where he's putting on a play.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there looking at it going, holy crap, where has this guy been?
I mean, in nothing, technically.
He studies the people around him, and he's a genuinely good person and a good friend. And seeing this friendship and what they have to deal with being African Americans in San Francisco during this day and age. It's a sensitive subject, and just seeing how these characters act with one another, and they're both really polite people. They're just good people.
And people still look down on them in times too. You know, they think negatively of them just by looking at them.
Or like even their childhood friend, I forget his name, but it was like they were all best friends, and then they kind of had a falling out because he insulted his father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then what happens to his character kind of transitions the movie into something a little bit different. I think that is maybe where I start having flaws with it, because it did kind of go into this different route, and it was just maybe a hair too long. I think it's rated at 2 hours. I think it could have been maybe a little tighter, but. I just thought the score was phenomenal. The cinematography was just immersive. It was just beautiful to look at. The colors was very vivid on my screen. I don't know where you guys watched it.
No, I agree with you.
They popped on my
I agree
TV.
with you for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the performance is excellent. Oh my god. Especially Jimmy Fails.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. This is one that's going to be under the radar that I don't think a lot of people are going to see, but maybe in the next couple of years people will start talking about it. Yeah, but I think there is one scene I really want to talk about that was a really quick scene, but it was something that.
What?
Is it the same one I'm thinking?
I don't know. It took place on a bus.
Oh, with the mom.
So these two girls are just like, San Francisco sucks. Like, let's just go to LA. This place sucks, and this place is dirty. There's nothing here. And then Jimmy is just like, you have to love something before you're allowed to hate it. Mm-hmm. And I thought that there was so much truth to that statement, because personally in life, like, I've never really truly felt like I hate something unless I've loved it first. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was kind of just the whole message that I got from the film. And that actually kind of makes me emotional a little bit, because that one really, I get goosebumps right now, actually, because that scene really got to me. Yeah. Because it is, because this guy truly had love for his city and that house and his family, and these two girls are just like, fuck this place, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right. And he loves the city so much, but then at the end of the day, it's like, does the city love you back? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of been like realizing that
maybe
a little
it doesn't,
bit.
maybe
yeah.
And like,
it had a lot of emotion for sure.
Yeah,
that scene.
If you spend so much time loving a city, you don't spend enough time figuring out who you are. Like, the city's holding you there, but you're more than this city.
That scene bumped it up a whole grade for me. Like, that scene really, I was just like, wow, that's got some serious emotion and truth to it, Yeah.
Sure. There was a scene for me that had to do with somebody crying about halfway during the movie. Mm-hmm. That was so quick, and I wasn't expecting it. And
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I know I kind of jumped the gun on Nightingale. I won't do this here. Blew me away. I put my hands on top of my head, and I was just like, "Holy crap!"
What scene is this? I don't know why I can't remember it right now.
It was
a couple days ago.
I think.
Watched it.
Let me kind of take a guess. I think it was when they were walking up to the house and he saw like their kind of like gain friends, and like one was missing.
Oh,
and like they kind of start having a little altercation, and then they just break down into each other's arms.
I couldn't believe that scene, man.
Yeah,
because
I wasn't expecting it, and it happened.
The wall just quick. Like breaks down on this character, and he just embraces this guy.
It's true human emotion.
Yeah,
and this movie captured that just perfectly, I thought. I mean, I've already explained some of my nitpicks with the movie, but overall, I think this is one of the most underrated film of the year. It's one that I didn't expect to even watch unless we were doing this type of thing. So I'm glad that I definitely watched it, and I would say watch this movie because you might get something that you're not expecting, because that's what I got out of it.
I think a lot of people
I'm gonna
can
grade
relate to it. You know,
I'm gonna grade it before you guys. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. I'd like to see it again. I want to see it one more time just because of like kind of how the movie was, kind of how it progressed. It was a little like dreams like esque. I want to kind of revisit that one more time
100%.
and see how I see it as a rewatch. Because now that I know the story, I can kind of see some of the more creative things that they did with it to kind of help tell it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to see it one more time. But 4 out of 5. It's one of my favorites of the year so far.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5.
wow.
Just the score, the cinematography, both performances. Even Danny Glover, like he wasn't even in it that much.
Right.
And he just you knew he had been in San Francisco for a long time, so it's almost seeing what you could become if you stay.
Right.
And then just the friendship back and forth and being there for one another, and just how they were able to just talk about things and figure things out and just do what their heart wanted, not what their mind wanted. And just, yeah, I wasn't expecting this movie at all. It'll definitely be in my top 10, I think, if not higher. But yeah, I'll stick with a 4.5 out of 5. Just it virtually didn't have a flaw for me, but like Spencer said, it will take a rewatch just because it's such a deep subject matter and it's so strong, and there's just a lot to it to comprehend, and so it's definitely worth a rewatch for sure.
Yeah, I think this is one of those movies that, like, personally for me, like, I would need to watch it a few times to sort of get everything that's going on, to get the emotion that I want to feel, because there were a lot of specific scenes where I really fell for the characters and I could see myself in them a little bit. But I did feel that it sort of dragged a little bit at times, that I did think it should be cut down. I wanted a little bit more soundtrack rather than score. Like, I wanted some actual songs. Like, there was one scene where the guy was singing on the street, and I really felt like that there should have been more of that in the movie, just to kind of hook me a little bit more. But maybe they were going more score rather than soundtrack, but I really liked that part of the film. But I mean, when it comes down to it, this movie is conveying real human emotion, and when I watch independent films or just films in general, that's something that I really want. That's something that I connect to the most. That's why I picked this movie, and that's so, you know, that's something I really appreciate, when films are really able to convey, like, you know, real stuff.
A good message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A message that's simple and you can relate to it, and it makes you feel good, or it just gives you memories of your own life, or whatever you want from it.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie did. So I think I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. It was, you know, it was a great movie that I think, you know, people should see. So
Definitely underrated.
yeah.
All right, so those were the 3 movies that we watched this week. We watched The Nightingale, Amelie, and The Last Black Man in San Francisco. You guys could watch those movies on streaming sites, or rent The Last Black Man on San Francisco. But moving on to next week's films, we got a doozy this week. Some interesting picks.
Something different.
Something a little... This is definitely a weird week. I haven't seen any of these movies yet, but just looking at this list, I'm already like, okay, this is going to be very diverse in next week. So the movie that I picked, it's called Glory. Came out in 1989. It's a Civil War movie. I've heard it's one of like the best war movies of the last, like, I don't know, 30, 40 years, and it won some Oscars. I think Denzel Washington won his first Oscar for it, so
He did.
I'm excited to check this one out. I heard it's brutal, and I heard the cinematography is incredible. So
Isn't it Matthew Broderick too? Isn't he the star?
Yeah. Matthew Broderick, Morgan Freeman, and Denzel Washington.
Hey,
it is
sold.
currently on Showtime, so if you have Showtime, then you can watch it there.
Well, I might have to find it online then.
All right.
I definitely don't have
But,
Showtime either, so I'll just, you know, legally find it somewhere.
But so we're going from serious like war movies to my film 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I'm so excited for this one.
1954, Kirk Douglas, Peter Lorre. It's on Disney Plus, so for those of you who got Disney Plus, check it out. It's definitely worth it. It's just one of those classic fantasy sea action movies that's just, it's a good time. So yeah, check it out if you guys want to join in with us.
Real quick, you said Disney Plus, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is the movie that you picked. Last night I was watching The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
How is that?
Oh my god, it is the weirdest, quirkiest show I have ever seen. But the episode I watched was him about ice cream, and there is a scene that is it's a montage scene, and they used clips of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Fantastic.
And that was right when you had picked it. So I was like, oh my god, there's a clip from the movie right there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyways, that is a weird show. So have some beers and watch.
I can't wait to watch that, dude. I really want to watch that.
It is weird. There's a scene where they go into this they go to like Oregon in the wilderness. They trip on shrooms and they try to find like
For real though,
flowers they can make ice cream out of. Yeah, I swear to God, it is the weirdest show ever. It is so weird. Like they make ice cream out of pig's blood and chicken liver. It is crazy.
I'm gonna watch that when I go to bed. Like I'm gonna fall asleep to that show tonight.
No, please do the ice cream one, and then you're gonna want to go out and buy ice cream afterwards.
I already bought M&Ms tonight, peanut butter.
That is a whole side tangent that I apologize that I went on. But you said Disney Plus, and I got excited.
Oh, thank you. Disney Plus is very exciting. And it's funny because I've listened to an audiobook of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That's why I was gonna watch it anyway. So I'm really glad you picked it. Anyways. Cool. And my movie is the 1999 film Notting Hill, starring Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant. I need a little romance in my life. There's a lack of it, so I need a film that would kind of give it to me. A deep cut to my personal life.
All right. Well, yeah. Glad that we get to go on this journey with you.
Thank you. We can talk about it, and it's going to be some real emotion next week. We'll see how it goes, but romance movie, Hugh Grant, music and lyrics.
And what's this on? Hallmark Channel?
No, Spencer.
TBS.
This is on HBO.
Oh,
enjoy.
Okay. Yeah,
awesome.
nice.
Home box
Seems to be
office.
the one nobody cares about, but that's okay.
Alrighty, well, that brings us to the end of the podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube, because if you aren't subscribed, Nate's going to come to your house and slap you with a fish. You can also listen.
That's not what I wrote. What the fuck?
You can also listen to us on the go with iTunes, Podbean, and Spotify. Links are always in the description for that. If you guys want to join the fun, watch these movies with us and comment what you thought each week. Eventually, once we build up some sort of audience, we can maybe read your reviews down the line at the end of the show. I think that'd be kind of fun. And if you have suggestions of films that you'd like to see us discuss, let us know. But fair warning, we've seen a lot of movies, so just make some deep cuts with your picks. Although John, you haven't seen, yeah, exactly, Notting Hill. So help John out and give us some.
Please give me some
picks.
suggestions. I have not seen The Godfather. I've not seen, a lot of shit.
Yeah, there goes the comments.
You're on your own.
But
with
Nate
that.
hasn't seen Forrest Gump, so I'm in a big.
Yes, I have.
Yes, he
you
has.
hadn't.
He hasn't seen Castaway.
Oh, okay.
That's not
God
bad.
damn it.
Like,
Sorry.
acclaimed.
Jesus Christ. And make sure follow us on Twitter and Instagram. What the hell, guys? To get updates, participate in polls, and send us some film suggestions, send us some comments. I don't care. Do whatever the hell you want to do.
Where can they follow us though?
Follow us at ThoseMovieDudes, obviously.
Oh, okay, cool.
We post a lot of. I personally post a lot of new release movie reviews because I have AMC A-list, so I go see Charlie's Angels and a bunch of bullshit like that. A lot of them are poorly written and they have very thought-provoking puns that aren't very good. Follow us there, like and comment, get the conversation going. God, Nate.
Yeah,
wow,
and if
you're
you
making this very inviting and
do
warm.
it.
All
I
right.
swear to God.
Yeah, and if you guys like Blu-rays and Criterions, come check me out. I just filmed a skit where I was Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, it was so
and I
good.
make really bad jokes about myself. And if you're interested in that, definitely come check me out. We'll see if I do it or not.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys for next week's films. Toodles.
Yeah, toodles, y'all. I was gonna say toodles this
See
time.
you later.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
If you're going to San